What's up, everyone? It's Fitz, host of the Let's Argue podcast. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this Friday afternoon. Special shout out to all 762 subscribers. We're slowly making our way up to that thousand subscriber mark. Make sure you hit that like button, comment, and if you are not convinced yet that this is a channel you should subscribe to, sit back, enjoy the show, and hopefully you get some value and you change your mind at a certain point. All right, so to give a little overview of what it is we're talking about today. Today, we're going to be reacting to Candace Owens' recent interview on The Breakfast Club. Special shout out to The Breakfast Club. I particularly respect that they're willing to have people from different sides of the aisle come on and have conversations with them and things like that. At first, when I started tuning into them more, I did know they were I did think they were more left-leaning in terms of the people they had on and the narratives that they would parrot. But, more recently, and I don't know if this is because like the demographics are changing or, the mainstream media is changing, but they're a little more accepting of people from the other side of the aisle. In particular, Charlemagne. I think Charlemagne does a good job. I think that although he seems like he's more left-leaning, he's willing to have a conversation with anyone. And I think a lot of the people that come on from the other side of the aisle, the Dr. Umars or the Candace Owens and things like that, come on because of the relationship they have with Charlemagne, and he kind of gets that going. But what we're going to be talking about today is Candace Owens' response to a question Charlemagne had asked about interracial marriage, interracial dating. We're going to get into what Dr. Umar Johnson says on this topic, what Candace Owens responded to, and, breaking news just this morning, Candace Owens was fired or whatever from the Daily Wire, the network that she's on or was on with Ben Shapiro. She's fired. She's no longer there. She posted on her Instagram. We'll get into it and break down a little bit of, why maybe that happened and dive a little deeper. All right, so we got Ty coming up.
Yo,
this man got the matching everything.
I'm so indecisive. What you?
This man got the matching beanie with the watch on.
Doing this your door. What up, yo? It's your boy Ty. Get up at me at _ Wolfwagon_. We doing all dog training tips, needs. We got the K9 Chronicles going. That's every week, sometimes twice a week, depending on scheduling and time. What else? What else we got coming out? Got some new videos dropping. Got some new training tips dropping. I'll let your boy if you need something. We can get on a consultation. We can get on Zoom, FaceTime, text, StreamYard, whatever. YouTube. We can do it all. We can talk about training styles, everything. I'm your man for when it comes to the dogs.
Absolutely. And make sure you go check out his Instagram. Go check out mine at Skits by Fitz. Going to be dropping more skits. I'm also going to be going in and doing more deep analysis on a lot of the topics we cover on the podcast. So make sure you stay in tune. Hit that notification button so you get all notifications when new content drops. All right. So what I want to talk about today is interracial dating. Particularly, I want to react to what Candace Owens had said on The Breakfast Club. Have you watched the interview?
Not the whole interview.
All right.
It'll be a fresh perspective, no bias.
All right. Fresh perspective. But can't a fresh perspective be biased?
Nah.
This guy.
Hey, I would have had time to develop my argument. Nah, it's off the dome. Freestyle. Hey, bro, you got me out here looking like a homeless man, bro. Come on. Nah, let me stop playing. I don't give a damn what y'all think.
Hey. All right, let me bring this up because we're going to get into it. See Dot Hustle. What up, Fitz? What up? Appreciate the support. Dot Hustle been rocking with the channel for a minute, so.
Right when we started off.
Yes, sir.
That was a hell of a debate.
All right, so here we go with Candace Owens. And Dr. Umar is going to give his perspective as well after the video. It's kind of like they combine the video, so we'll react to what she said and then kind of react to what he says.
They combined the video where he talked about, okay, on the Breakfast Club. Gotcha.
Yep.
I thought he replied to her
earlier, because I know a lot of people hear you say, well, Candace, you're speaking a lot about, the black family, but then you married a white man.
Yeah.
Dr. Umar would have a huge problem with that.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Dr. Umar?
I have heard of him. I have not listened to him, I'll be honest. What is his argument, actually? If you could just repurpose his argument.
He feels
everything black.
No.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Everything.
No, he feels black men should be with black women, because when you're talking about it from the economic standpoint, you want to grow the wealth as a black family.
But that doesn't...
and if you marry somebody from another race, then your wealth will be with that person, and he doesn't like that.
I believe Candace Owens is a paid Negropean.
Oh, he replied? Did he reply? Or
so I don't know if he did reply, like the text in that video was him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's replied to that. I know he's spoken on her in the past, and I don't know if that was something that they looped in from the past, but he has spoken on her in the past. And, he believes that she just parrots the mainstream conservative ideas, and that she's not really for black people. That's what he believes, based on what I've ascertained. C. Hustle says he's here to challenge conservatives. All right, well, hopefully we give you something to challenge. But I don't know that too many people are going to dislike. I know my perspective on this. I think I have a little bit of knowledge on yours. But do you believe that black men should be with black women? And if not, do you believe that that if you're black and you marry somebody outside the black community, that you're a sellout? We'll start with that.
Ooh, that's a sellout. Ooh, you hit me hard today, brother. Relax. Sellout. I think it's contradicting at times, because if you're pro-black this, pro-black that, Pan-African, whatever title you want to put on it, I think it comes with some uneven territory that you have to navigate, because you're fighting for black people, fighting for the black family, fighting for the black community, but then you got a white wife at home.
So do you think you're a sellout? If you're a black man married to a white woman or an Asian woman or any woman that's not a black woman, are you a sellout who's not for your community?
Nah, I'm gonna say no.
Why? Why do you? I disagree. I think you are.
Because I think it discredits, because even though your family is a reflection of you, right? I think most people say that. I can't discredit the work that people have done for the black community. Like Nick Cannon, for example. Nick Cannon has however many baby mamas, but he does contribute to a lot of black success. He gives black people opportunities. I mean, look at all the people he's brought on his show that he's helped get music deals. He's really giving back to the community in a positive way. So to discredit him and say he's a sellout, I mean, he's doing it. He's doing more than most people.
Let me tell you why I think that on a certain level you're a sellout if you're not with a black woman. Because I think that, if you're trying to strengthen the black community, you have to build the black family. And I don't think that there's any better way to build the black family than for black men to be with black women. And when I think of a sellout, let's use definitions here. When I think of a sellout, I think of somebody that they put their personal desires and agendas above the black community in a way that's detrimental to the black community. That's what I believe. I think that and it's not like a small thing. I think who you marry is a larger thing, and it's a symbol of your values and what you respect. So I think a lot of people look at love like, oh, well, I'm going to go marry who I love and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's like, to me, that's not putting the community first. That's not putting the community first. And so like, it'd be like if I had this disease where if I go around people, I can get them really sick and they could die. And then I choose to still go around them. I'm not putting the community first. I'm putting me first because I wanted to go to Dave and Buster's. So like, what are your thoughts? Like, I guess, is there anything that a Black person can do in your eyes that would make them a sellout?
It's kind of hard, bro, because nowadays trying to catch the attention of the Black community is very hard if you aren't the typical Negro that they idolize, right? I think you're a sellout if you don't give back to your community. If you get into a position of maybe financial strength or economic status, whatever the case may be, and you're not giving back or giving game back to the community, I think you're a sellout. And I think that's where it stems from. Oh, you changed, you went to Howard or Harvard or whatever, and now you're this big guy, but you haven't done shit for the community. It doesn't, for me, that's a sellout. I don't know if I would really say who you date or who you marry is being a sellout, because you could be with a Black woman and still treat her like shit. So what kind of example are you setting then? Because even when Black women and Black men get together, this isn't for everybody. Let me say that. Not for everybody. 8 times out of 10, what do we see Black women and Black men doing? Breaking up, beating on each other, single moms, single dads. So should somebody really miss out on having their ideal love to be with a Black woman?
I think that those are two separate things. One, we're talking about.
What would you say a sellout is then?
I think a sellout is somebody that does something in their own best interest at the detriment of the Black community. And I think, and I'm not talking about, oh, you accepted this job or something. I'm talking about, like, the Black family is an institution. And when you're doing stuff to take away from that institution and damage it, then I think that on a certain level, you're a sellout. And I think, you can be a sellout in that area. Like, I think sellout is on a spectrum. Okay. I don't think it's, maybe that's the way that I'm saying it is. I don't think it's either you're a sellout or you're not with most things. I think like in this area, are you selling out? And I think marriage and family is a huge area and a huge economic opportunity and the foundation of the Black community. So that's why I'm so hard on it, where I do believe that there's no better union than a Black man and a Black woman when it comes to building the Black community. And so it's like if you were trying to go build a house and they built it with, like, they built the foundation with a very weak material and then just piled a bunch of other stuff on top of it just to make it look good. It's like the foundation is still rotten. And a lot of our issues, I think, stem from the fact that we don't have strong Black families, not just a family, but strong Black families, people that are going to, like you said, give back to their community. I don't think you get that as much when you're not raised in Black families. I don't think that you get the whole, I'm going to try to do stuff for other Black people when you're raised in different types of families. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, that's kind of how I would look at a sellout.
Right. Said about Nick Cannon.
Them the only Black relationships you see.
So growing up, and I think this is C-Dot from last time. Growing up, most of my family, my dad's side, because I mixed with a lot of things, but a lot of them were in domestic violence relationships. They weren't the best example for what a Black family should look like. They exhibited a lot of behaviors that just weren't really appropriate at the age I was at. So seeing them and then seeing everything outside of that, growing up as an athlete as well, seeing the Ray Lewises of the world, Ray Rice, see them beat on their women and, just be nasty to them. It didn't really set a good example for the Black family concept, right? And then celebrities and all those people played a big role in the area that I grew up in. So you had girls probably middle school age, I would say, acting like Trina. They want to be like Trina from Miami. They want to, you know, before the City Girls was the City Girls, they wanted to be like that. So that stigma and those stereotypes, they came with it. And so it was always not to say it was always looked down upon to be with a Black woman, but it definitely was not as popular as it is now. But I lived in Florida, so Florida's a little bit different. It depends. I think it depends on the area that you grow up into.
Right. And this is why I'm careful with this conversation, because I understand that many of us are not raised to respect Black love. Many of us are not raised to have the expectation that if you're a Black man, you're going to be with a Black woman. If you're a Black woman, you're going to be with a Black man. Although we tend to marry who we look like and things like that, I don't believe that there's that racial pride that is necessary in order to properly organize. Like, we're missing part of it. So I don't fault anyone, but I think from a logical perspective and from just a community building perspective, it's going to be very difficult to build the Black community without strong Black families, not just Black kids with a family, but a Black family, because there is a difference.
Right.
All right, I'm going to play a little more of this.
Yeah, good comments from C. Dot and Sean.
One thing you have to understand about the white power structure when you're talking about Candace Owens and Jesse Lee Peterson's. Okay, one thing you have to understand, the white power structure through the government or through the corporate structure, they find influential Negroes and they buy them out in order to change the level of consciousness in Black America. Candace Owens was sponsored by the white power structure so she could begin to dilute the Black.
You must try Miro. Before Miro, work got lost across different tools. Monday, Jira, Slack, Trello.
First narrative.
Get that
Candace
white woman
Owens
out of my
and Jesse
screen.
Lee Peterson, these kind of Negroes, these types of Negroes are found and funded. They are found and funded in order to distract from the narrative.
Okay, so right there. And C. Dot says that's why Pan-Africanism is a necessity. I agree. Out of all of the like ideologies and philosophies and things like that, I think Pan-Africanism is the most potent when it comes to the Black community. But what he's talking about right there, where, you know, certain Black voices are found in order to dilute the broader message of, you know, Black pride, building the Black community. Do you think that that's something that happens? Do you think that there's some validity to what he's saying there? Or is he just being emotional? Because that's what a lot of people were saying when I was like, I want to see a Candace Owens Dr. Umar debate. They said Candace Owens would beat Dr. Umar because Dr. Umar is too emotional.
I mean, I think he has some points. I always wonder if she was on the other side, how would he feel about her? If she was on the other side, and not the side she's on right now, would he still feel the same way?
I think he would feel differently, but not in the way that maybe you're thinking. I think she would probably be parroting a feminist agenda, because the thing about it is I think they agree on a lot more than they disagree on, as far as like feminism, the trans stuff, all of that stuff. I think that when it just comes to the Black identity, like I've always said this about Candace Owens, I think Candace Owens is a conservative first and a Black person second. And what I mean by that is I think that she puts the conservative agenda, like the political stuff, above the Black community. And I think Dr. Umar puts the Black community first. And I don't think Candace Owens does that. She tries to appeal to the Black community on one side, and she also tries to appeal to, I think, white conservatives that that want to say what she's saying, but will get in trouble, if you will. So I think that white conservatives live through Candace Owens vicariously, and Black people are attracted to her because she says things that they find controversial, and they want to sit there and scapegoat her or make it seem like people like her are the problem.
Mhm.
But I think that they agree on a lot. I think that it's just Candace Owens doesn't, I guess, lean into the whole Black identity thing and the Black community first type of ideology. I mean, what are your thoughts? I know you think that Candace Owens would beat Dr. Umar in a debate. Why do you think that?
I think purely, if we're talking purely based off of factual data, statements, those type of things, I think she would eat him up, just because Umar is more, like you said, emotional based, and some of his stuff is like soundbite. You know, when
That's
he
not
says,
what I think. That was just
not you. No, not
that's
you.
what they think.
No, I'm talking about, when we had conversations about him being emotional. We know that's a fact. That's the truth. Not overly emotional to a point where it's like the bias comes out. He stands strong in what he believes. I think some of the things he says for soundbite, I don't think there's any. Some of the things, I don't think there's any substance behind it. And I think getting up against somebody like Candace Owens, you know, I don't think I think he'll bring up some good stuff, but I don't think he'll overall be the winner.
I think that he will wash the floor at Candace Owens. I think Dr. Umar will wash the floor at Candace Owens because Candace Owens is used to a certain line of questioning. And I don't think that she's thinking critically about these things. Like, I know a lot of people say that she thinks critically about these things, but to me, it's like a lot of her things, like, she doesn't say anything profound to where I'm like, she read something and then she critically thought about that and then came away with this. I think that with Dr. Umar, he doesn't parrot a left-leaning agenda. He doesn't parrot a right-wing leaning agenda. He's for Black people, and that's where I think that I can respect it. Whereas Candace Owens, I do like a lot of the things that she says, but I don't think that she's doing it for the Black community in the same way that Dr. Umar is. And so I don't think that she's used to somebody asking certain questions. So I think that's where she would get tripped up at, is he's not going to ask her the surface level questions. He's going to be like, okay, so Candace Owens, you're for the Black community. She's going to be like, I'm for all communities. And then he's going to get her. You're for the Black community. You're for all communities, but you're a Black woman married to a white man, and you're constantly talking about the Black community. Why do you do that? Like, he's going to ask her those type of questions that I don't think she's really been challenged on in the same way, like that from somebody like a Dr. Umar, who he's very knowledgeable. He can give you dates. He can give you facts. He can give you things that the mainstream media isn't going to talk about or ask in a certain way. So I think that he's used to debating people like Candace Owens. I don't think Candace Owens is used to debating people like him.
Maybe. I think both of them will have their weak spots, because he's not in her world and she's not in his world, right? Umar is strictly dedicated to Black topics, Black everything, which understandable, he'll have the upper hand in that. When it comes down to the logistics and operational stuff of how the Black community can improve, I think Candace might have more of an idea of what that would look like.
She does not offer solutions.
Neither does Umar. And I told you that a long time ago, when he was
he offers solutions. I don't think he takes action on them.
I don't think he emphasizes enough on the solutions. For a while, it was white people. It was never like, okay, we know white people have been colonized and all those things with history, but how do I get out of the situation that I'm in? There was never key points for how to get out of it. It was more of white this, white that, and that's why I got tired of hearing them. Because, dude, if you're gonna talk about it, all right, we can acknowledge that colonization happened. We feel the effects now. How do I do better? Now he's getting better at giving out some of that guidance on how to get to certain levels. He is now, but before it was just strictly about white people.
So I think, and I can see where you're coming from a certain perspective, but you also have to understand that he's probably made thousands of videos, and like sometimes you're going to hear content where it's just about white people. Sometimes you're going to hear content where he's giving lectures and breaking down what a specific community needs to do. I think a lot of it is playing the social media game where, you know, he just goes live and talks about certain things. But here's the solutions that I've heard from him is Black men need to be with Black women so that they can create a strong Black family, and those Black kids have a good foundation and a good system and role model to look after. He believes that Black parents should be focusing more on reading and spending more time with their children and educating them. Also, the school to prison pipeline, ADHD, he's done a lot of research and released books on that and does consultations with families and is kind of giving people the blueprint on how to get your child out of that system. But also just, I think, making the Pan-Africanism ideology more mainstream or more pushing it more so that we have a framework to look at these situations from. But I can see why somebody would be like, oh, he talks about white people. He did an interview recently where I think somebody had brought this up where they were like, you know, you talk about the Black struggle so much, that makes it seem like you're operating from a victim mindset. And he stated clearly, he's like, although I articulate the problems that white people have caused, every solution that I name is Black people at the center of those solutions. Black people have to fix their own problems. So yeah, he talks a lot about white people causing the problem, but he talks about Black people fixing the problems. Whereas Candace Owens, I think, parrots the narrative of kumbaya, you know, let's not look at race. I think she said in that interview that she never looked at the race of her husband and thought about that before marrying him. That's BS. To me, that's just BS. Like, if she grew up in a Black family, which she says she did, I doubt that it never crossed her mind like, oh, I wonder what my family's going to say when I bring a white man home. And you can't make me believe that, especially with her being in politics and things like that and the things she's heard. I don't believe for a second that she never thought about the race of her husband or that she didn't notice he was a white guy and she's Black and things like that. I just don't believe that that's the case.
I mean, she might not put an emphasis on it. I mean, obviously, you could see what he looks like. Like, we all know that. But it may not have been an emphasis. And I think that's what she was trying to get at, was she didn't put an emphasis on his race. And I think that coming from that perspective, because in some households, that's like, if you grew up without knowing that, then going forward in your adult life, that's not going to be a thing. Like, race wasn't told to me until I got into probably like more like high school level. Like, we were kids. We grew up as kids. They let us grow up, be kids. We didn't care if you were Black, white, yellow, blue, what race, whatever. It didn't matter. And we grew up all together, almost like a coalition type of thing, right? So it wasn't until I got to high school that really started to show, and then getting to college and so forth and so on. So if you didn't grow up that way, then when you go look for a partner, that's going to be your mentality. I don't really care about the race, but
if that happened in her 20s, I could see like her early 20s, teenage years, but she's 30. I think she got married in her 30s, right? Like 29, 30. She had already been in politics. She talks about Black people all the time on her YouTube channel and social media and stuff. So I do believe that she's looked at interracial dating and things like that. It's probably come up. And she even said, like, a lot of people will say that I only dated white guys and things like that. I'm just saying, I don't think that it's like she didn't know about interracial dating and how that's kind of looked at and things like that. She said that she was more liberal before. So it's like, I don't think that she's as innocent when it comes to race and racism and not knowing about it. But here's an interesting thing. Candace Owens is a conservative, right? Do you think that Candace Owens would date like a lefty, a Democrat, somebody that believes in abortion, that believes abortion's okay, that believes in the woke movement and feminism, which she says that she hates? Do you believe that she would date somebody or marry somebody that held those beliefs?
Probably not. She's way too strong in who she is and what she believes. I don't
Right.
think she-
So, and that goes back to my point is like, it's not just about love, because I'm sure she could love somebody that held those beliefs, right? Like she could love a Democrat, but she's not going to date them and marry them because of her values. She's thinking about, well, what if I have kids with this person? What are they going to be teaching my kids? And what if, you know, like, and to me, that goes back to the racial pride thing and building the Black community. If you value the Black community, I think that you weigh the race of your partner in that factor because you value the Black family and the Black community. Even though you may love somebody from a different community, that's going to be something that you mull over before you do it. Just like I think, you know, people who are religious, they want to typically marry somebody who practices the same religion. Yeah, they could fall in love with somebody else, but their values and principles state, I need to marry somebody that believes in this religion just like I do for the church or to promote this and the values and things like that. I see it no differently when it comes to Black men marrying Black women and concentrating our energy on building the Black community.
Yeah.
Let's see what he's saying a little more. So, see, we got some people in the stream. We're gonna react a little more to the video, and then gonna put a link in the chat so you could come up and give your perspective if you want to, and then we'll close out.
I also want to say this
you have
too,
to
though,
understand something
before you start the video. Umar has kind of changed his approach a little bit lately too, because when he's building the school and stuff, he was talking about how Black people were bad business. They did not do good business with them, so he had to go and hire a white company or a Mexican company, whatever he said, as far as the construction stuff goes and getting the proper window. I think it was about the windows and stuff. Mm-hmm. So he's actually kind of leaning. People can find gray spots in that, because you're saying you're Pan-African, pro-Black, all these things, but then you're hiring a white company to help you with your school.
So I think part of that so Dr. Umar hiring a white contractor or whatever to help with the school, I don't think is contradicting to Pan-Africanism, for the simple fact that he did try to work with Black contractors and things like that, and it didn't work out. That's not to say that all Black contractors are bad or anything like that, but it's also, what is the bigger goal? The bigger goal is to finish this school. And if you're reaching out trying to work with Black contractors and it's not working out, at some point you have to go somewhere else. You know,
hey,
I don't think that means that now all of a sudden he's not a true Pan-Africanist and things like that, because what is the alternative? For the school to not get done?
But it can question the authenticity. He can go find another Black contractor. There's plenty of people that will come in from another state. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just some gray areas.
That was the issue. Was, I think, with the school, and the people that brought this up, in order to do a lot of that work, you have to be licensed in that state. You can't just come from another state and do it. There's different requirements when it comes to commercial buildings. So you can't just be licensed in Florida and then come to Delaware and do it. You have to be licensed in that state with some of these repairs and renovations. And I don't know, of course, I don't know the whole backstory or whatever, but what I do know is that, for instance, like me, if I'm trying to get a haircut before tomorrow and I try to go find a Black barber and I really can't find any, or their prices are this and they don't have this and that, I tried, but if I have to go with somebody else, then I have to go with them. But I don't think that means that I'm inauthentic at that point.
I don't know, brother. I ain't gonna say you inauthentic, but we have to acknowledge that we can't. We have to acknowledge that.
Are you trying to connect that with the marriage thing, like saying?
No, I'm just
to
throwing it out there for some gray spots, just in case people in the comments are like, "Well, Umar, this, and this," you know, that's throwing it out there. But it kind of Candace Owens' message of, you know, this idea of kumbaya or all communities, that kind of pushes that narrative. We still need other communities to help us, because even when we hire the people that look like us, don't mean our job is always going to get done. So then it kind of questions the message.
Let me clarify the kumbaya. When I say the kumbaya message, what I'm saying is the kumbaya message is when people say, let's completely ignore all the racial differences. Let's ignore colonization. Let's ignore racism, Jim Crow. Let's ignore all of that. And let's just come together, right? You come in, let's just do that. But that's not how it plays out in real life. How it plays out in real life is, you know, people do business with people that typically look like them, and people, just like family. If I have a family, I'm going to look out for my family first. That's not to say I hate other people's families, but that's how it's been throughout the history in this country. People look out for who's in their community. And oftentimes, Black people, we are our community, and then we have to fight to get into other people's community and be accepted in those communities. But if you go and look at the research and statistics, you see that when Black people were doing business with Black people, we were thriving. It's just that we're so segmented now that it's difficult to get that. But where I'm going with that is, the kumbaya thing is like, I'm just going to ignore, for instance, the fact that if my child goes to school and they have curly hair, those other kids are going to otherize her. They're going to talk about her hair. If I ignore that, then I'm not even going to have a conversation with my child about it. Why would I? We're kumbaya. Whereas I think the Dr. Umar approach, the Pan-African approach, would be, how do I analyze this situation so that I can have a conversation with my child about their hair in a way that makes sense? It's a framework. Okay, your hair is curly. What does that curly hair represent in society? That typically represents you're going to be looked at differently. It's looked at as more ghetto. It's looked at as unprofessional, things like that. So you need to be able to have those conversations and let your child know, or other people know, hey, here's why it is, and here's what you can do about it. And don't feel like you're actually those things. Don't feel like you're unprofessional because of this and because of that. So that's what I think of when I think of the kumbaya, is like ignoring history and just saying, let's just all get along, as if it's that simple, as if that wasn't, you know, already an option. It's like, I mean, if that was an option, how are we in slavery?
Is it ignoring it though, or is it moving on from it? Because how much are we going to harp about this going forward into the future?
I don't think it's harping. I think it's acknowledging and moving forward with that information. I think, like, if I break my leg and somebody's just like, yeah, just go run 20 miles. It's like, I can try, but I still have a broken leg. And unless we address that, then we can't properly structure a way for me to go and run those miles. Maybe I don't need to run. Maybe I need to walk. Maybe I need to, you know, put a cast on, and then we can figure out how long it will be before I run. But if we completely ignore it, then we can't properly create a game plan to move forward. So I'm not saying harp on it, because I think harping lacks solution. But what I am saying is acknowledge personally and as a community, and put the responsibility of the solution on you. Because if I'm just telling somebody, yeah, we need to have Black families, Black men marrying Black women, that may sound racist. But if I put it in context, we need Black families, Black men marrying Black women, because from a psychological perspective, that's going to be better for the children. And also, those Black parents are going to be more invested in building the Black community than a white parent that has a Black child. Now it makes a little more sense. So that's all I'm saying, is like, context matters when we're trying to frame a solution, because without the context, the solution may come off as racist. The solution may come off as not making sense. So I think context matters, and I think that's what Pan-Africanism offers, is a context to solve issues within the Black community. It's not perfect, but I think Dr. Umar is more principled in pushing the Black community forward than Candace Owens. I don't think the conservative movement or the conservative ideology is built around Black people, whereas Pan-Africanism is built around Black people. And it does have some conservative ideology, but it's not tailored for Black people. If I go get a suit, I prefer it tailored than just 32 in the waist, 34, 36 on the chest. Nah, it should be tailor it for me. I think that's why I gravitate towards Pan-Africanism. All right, I'll play a little bit more of this, and then we'll have some people come up if you guys want to come up.
Intellectual confusion is the enemy of mass organization, Brother Robert. Intellectual confusion is the enemy of mass organization. So what they love to do, they see me out here, right? So they say, okay, let's look at the Black intellectual landscape. So they set back and they say, okay, we have to continue to control the narrative. Social network is making it difficult for us to control the narrative for Black America. Because you have people like Dr. Umar Ifatunde, who's the leading Black radical scholar in the world for African people. We have Dr. Umar Ifatunde, who's the leading Black radical scholar, period, in the African diaspora. And then underneath him, you have all of these copycats who take his content and repeat it. So he has a whole movement, the intellectual sector.
Maybe we'll do a little bit more on Dr. Umar and his thoughts in a separate live. I do want to go to Candace Owens getting fired or whatever from Daily Wire and touch on that a little bit, because that just happened this morning. All right, so this is kind of, I don't want to say this is what started it, but this is what started it in my eyes. Like, this is where I got drawn to Candace Owens and the Ben Shapiro beef or whatever. So for those of you who don't know, we're transitioning. We're talking about Dr. Umar, Candace Owens, and we're talking about Candace Owens getting fired from the Daily Wire, or leaving. I don't know if she got fired or left voluntarily, but I do want to connect this because I do think that Ben Shapiro is writing for his community, like the Jewish community, Israel, stuff like that. That's what they were beefing over. And so he has pride in his community, but that's what I'm saying. Candace Owens doesn't with the Black community. So Ben Shapiro has no problem criticizing the Black community. He has no problem criticizing other communities. But when it comes to his community, he's willing to mess up a business relationship with Candace Owens, standing up for it. But Candace Owens, I don't think, is as principled when it comes to the Black community in the same way that Ben Shapiro is when it comes to the Jewish community and things like that. And so that's what I think the difference is between Candace and Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar is principled in the Black community and centered around that, whereas Candace Owens is principled around more Donald Trump, the conservative movement, things like that. But I'll play this. Let me know if you can hear it.
And then the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this is disgraceful. Without a doubt. Yeah, and she works for my company. Yeah, I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
You have been.
So to put that in context, right? Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens work for the same company. Ben Shapiro co-founded the Daily Wire, which they both work for. That is like that was a private event, it looked like, where people are asking questions about Candace Owens, and he's calling her out essentially. Now, do I think that Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens that I'm trying to find a way to word this. I think that Ben Shapiro put his community above the business side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he did the right thing. I think he did the right thing by sticking to his principles. But I don't see those principles in Candace Owens when it comes to the Black community. Do you think that Black people are in the position to be marrying other groups of people when we're not principled enough ourselves to value the Black community?
Let me ask you this. Do you think Ben Shapiro would have done that if he didn't get the community support that he receives from his community?
No, I don't. I don't think he would have done that, but I think that he understands, like he's more principled in his community. So he knows
Is he principled though? Because then you have to look at the other side of the coin. Is that a move financially to make more money? Because it can look like on the surface that he's principled, he's for the community, all those things, but in reality, he could give two damns less. He could just be doing it for the money.
No, I don't think he's doing it for the money, because he did lose some conservative support over this issue. Not just Candace Owens, but there was issues within the Republican Party conservative movement where he did lose a lot of support from people for his perspectives on the overseas issue. And he actually practices the religion and things like that. So he's not just doing it for show. He actually believes those things. And I think he's just standing up for them in the same way that, I think he should be. I don't see Candace Owens ever doing that. I don't see there being a situation where Black people are disrespected by a Ben Shapiro or someone conservative, and Candace Owens stands up for them like that.
Why should she if she don't have the support?
Principles. It's like if somebody, just because you don't have the support from the Black community, I think you can still stand up for what's right. Like there.
But then what are you fighting for?
Huh?
What are you fighting for then?
I would argue that she's more so fighting for conservative thought instead of Black people. So that's why I don't think that she's for Black people like that. I think she says a lot of things that can help Black people, but I don't think that that's her goal.
Well, I don't know if she's ever come out and said she was pro-Black or any of those things, because the world she lives in, right? But doing an analysis of the Black community right now, right? Would you sacrifice what you have for the right now or in the future for the Black community?
What do you mean by sacrifice?
Would you stick your neck out for the Black community? If the Black community is being disrespected in any type of way, whatever scenario you want to give, would you stick your neck out for the Black community?
If it was something that I actually believed, like if I'm like, am I gonna go out of my way to go to a George Floyd protest and get in a fight with somebody, end up in jail? No, because that's not really helping. But if for instance I'm in a situation to where it's like, I'm doing a business deal with somebody and then they're like, oh, look at those dumb monkeys over there. I'm not gonna just be like, oh yeah, look at them, and go along with it just for the money, if that's what you mean. But if it's something to where I feel like my impact and my voice would matter, then yeah. But I'm not gonna go against it. I think, like there's sticking your neck out in line and then there's going against it. So I'm not gonna say something opposite just to get the money or whatever. Like the whole Black men being with Black women thing. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, well, I don't believe that just so I can get the money. No, it's like, I think Black men should be with Black women. If that loses me money, so be it. But that's what I think. My perspective may change. And if it does change, then that's because I looked into it more and I have a different idea about it. But it's not because I was fearful or I didn't want to stick my neck out. So I kind of, I don't really stick my neck out. I'm not in a position to do that. And It's like I just say what I think, and I try to analyze situations.
Right.
But right now, I don't really think I don't think black culture is worth saving. So I do a lot less sticking my neck out for it.
So
Complete
then for
true.
me, Candace Owens not standing up for black people. When I think about it in that way, in the logic that comes behind it, I don't see her as any less black than the next person, because she never come out. Well,
I don't want it to be less black, and I don't think that Dr. Umar is more black than.
We'll say pro-black or pan-African, right? And I don't think she's ever come out and said those things. So I'm not gonna put that on her for her to stand up for black people. Just like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan never wanted to be a role model for black kids. He came out and said that.
Right.
Many
so would it then if it would be a fair assessment to say, Michael Jordan doesn't do what he does for black people, right?
Right.
So I think that's the same thing with Candace Owens, but Candace Owens doesn't do what she does for black people.
Well, there's not a lot of. Again, this is me speaking maybe ignorantly because I don't have the statistics or data. People are gonna come out and say that there's not a lot of black people at her level or in that world. And if they are, then they're controlled by somebody else, and it's a circus.
So how is that relevant? That there's not a lot of black people at her level? Like, what do you mean by that?
We can't place those expectations on her for her to stand up for black people, because there's no black people in that world of the level that she's at in the political world. The ones that we have seen have been controlled by other people.
When I say stand up for black people, I'm not talking about black people at a high level. I'm talking about I'm not even saying stand up for black people. I'm just saying her messaging and her intention is not to build the black community and make the black community stronger.
But why should it though? That's the question I'm asking. Why should it be with the black community the way it is now? Why should that be her message?
Because even if the black community is not where we want to be at, I think we get further by trying to make it more of what we would like to see instead of less of what we would like it to see. But also, I think that there's a difference between, you being like, okay, I got my white husband, blah, 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 but then trying to make it seem like that's in the best interest of the black community. That's where I think it's like, if she's just like, I don't really care about the black community, it's never really done anything for me, I got this white man, cool. But then it's like, if you're taking a step further and being like, I'm for the black community, I'm about building it, then absolutely you have to be challenged and called out on contradictions when those contradictions are made. If I start a restaurant and say that I'm about eating healthy food, but all of my stuff that has sweetener in it is high fructose corn syrup, call me out on it, because that needs to be addressed. Yeah. Okay. We got C Dot in the building. How you doing, C Dot? Oh, I think I accidentally took you off.
Yo. Good.
Okay, I can hear you.
Now, what's going on? How y'all doing?
What's up, brother?
We're doing good.
Good, man. I appreciate y'all having a conversation and everything, man. It's a real good one y'all having today. Actually enjoyed this conversation.
As opposed to the
sorry,
other
I can't cam up. I would cam up usually, but I'm driving right now. Yeah, man. Like I said, I appreciate the conversation and everything. It's some things I agree with, some things I disagree with. But all in all, I'm like with the Candace Owens thing. I don't think Candace Owens is for the black community now. For black community, that should be the goal of all black people in general, is to see progression in their communities. I think because she doesn't fit to the black community anymore, or she took herself out of black communities or in black spaces, now she feels like, she comments on things I don't think that she's quite aware of fully. And in a lot of these situations, we talk about culture. We always try to throw, like, we throw the weirdest things into Black culture. Like, you throw violence in the Black culture, and you say that's Black culture when it didn't come from Black people. So, I don't understand, like, how a lot of stuff that's being called Black culture is like solidified into our category when we're not the ones who created this stuff. It's more so of American culture than it is Black culture. So I just want to, kind of make that slight correction.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the input. We got Sean in the building. What are your thoughts on the topic here, Sean? I know you were saying in the comments you think that Black men should be with Black women, that they're not sellouts. Just what are your thoughts on the conversation? Looks like you might be muted.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Appreciate y'all. Again, I'm getting on this fine Friday. But yeah, I appreciate the conversation. As far as the topic of the day, man, for me, it's just very important to everything I talk about. Everything that I do is based on economics. Even when it comes to building businesses, I hire Black people. I purposefully do that. I could easily hire somebody white, non-Black, but the purpose is putting Black people in a position. So to continue that logic, my wife, is Black, and we build together. So I help her with her business. She helps me with my business. And something were to happen to me, I have living trust. I have a trust. When I'm gone, I have a revocable. The idea of that stuff is like it don't stop with me, but I'm confident because me and my wife are aligned that the mission won't be. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. Because me and my wife are aligned, and we have similar dreams and visions, and we're like-minded. She is a Black woman, so I'm confident that everything that we're pushing for won't end with me. It won't end with her. I doubt that. When I think about, well, maybe there's a white woman that's like-minded, but then what I always think about is like, my thought goes to, well, show me the current interracial couple where the Black man passed away and the white woman pushed it. I don't see it, so I don't have an example of that.
So with that being said, because I've heard that argument before, well, if a Black man passes away, will the white woman pretty much go and give back to the Black community? I honestly think that that's one of the more unfair perspectives, because that doesn't happen in the Black community. Like Black women, when their husband dies, they're not going to go and start just spending money in the Black community. We know that Black dollars stay in the Black community the least. I think it's under an hour from what I last researched where the Black dollar stays in the Black community. So this brings me to my question: how can we hold white people to a higher standard than we hold Black people?
Well, I think, if I can answer, I think that's kind of like a misinterpretation, because when we talk about two Black people being together and to stand within the Black family, I think that's more so what is being said when two Black people compared to a white person and a Black person being together. At that point, you have the Black money that's coming in and the white money that's coming in, both being separated or both being split down the middle. So you're still basically helping a white community, when that could, or you could be helping a white family, when instead or you could be helping a Black family, but instead you're helping extra white family instead. So I think that's the dynamics of the Black dollar staying within that family, because like people like to use Kobe Bryant as an example. He passed away. His wife is Mexican, so now that Kobe's gone, her money, that Kobe's money, is now is going to benefit that Mexican family. You know what I'm saying? That Mexican side of the family. It's not really going to help Kobe's parents. It's not going to help, you know what I mean, Kobe's side of the family at this point no more. Now she's in control of it. So therefore, that money, that all of that money that he accumulated is now transferred over to a whole nother community. You know what I mean? So I think that's more of the dynamic that people talk about when they saying that you should be black should marry black.
My black wife, if I keep saying me because I don't want to put that on nobody else. So, you know, when I pass away, when I transition, my black wife is raising black children. She's imparting black perspectives, and it's not even on purpose. This is day to day by default, right? So that's the lineage, and that's the stuff that I think we talk about. It's like if I had and I hate saying that out loud, but if I had a white woman, you know, that wouldn't be the perspective. That wouldn't be how my children would be raised. They would be raised with a different perspective. Two of my best friends were multiracial, and they were great. They were great people. You know, we were young, and then when I got older, when I started understanding some stuff, I'm like, wait a minute. But it's just, you know, now we all 40 years old, and I just see the trajectory of I'm purposefully being black, and they're not saying right or wrong, up or down. That's their perspective. But my point is, they were raised a certain way, and I was raised a certain. My mother, even though a single mother, she wore dashikis, and we're FBA, we're foundational black. And I said, man, my mother's embarrassing me. But what I didn't realize when I was younger is by me seeing that, I was like, that means something. And while I was embarrassed when she was doing it, I still had a pride that if my white mother wouldn't even put that on, because why would she do that, right? So even on in the subconscious, we do stuff when we're black on black, raising families that will benefit the offspring, you know, in the community by default.
I disagree with that. I disagree that just being a black couple means that you're better for those black children. I think that also has to come with a foundation of teaching them racial pride. And I think like just the fact that most black people still marry other black people, but we don't see an increase in black people spending money with black people. We don't see an increase in the black community tackling some of the major issues in the black community. So if it's just about black people being with black people, how come those problems still largely exist?
White supremacy, you know what I'm saying? There's a bigger issue than that. There's a bigger issue. There's a reason why I'm purposefully saying I hire black people. I start black companies in black areas and hire the community. Like I'm purposefully doing that because I'm giving the numbers saying that a lot of times when we start companies, we're hiring people, and you know, I know people go off the DEA thing and all that type of stuff, but we don't have access to opportunity. You know, if everything was equal, then white companies would be hiring us left and right. But we know that's not the truth. What's happened is that we don't even being able to earn the money to be able to spend the money in the community. You know, we go in any one of our communities. A lot of these businesses aren't black owned. They're commercial or the mom and pop. But a lot of the money comes from somebody white. Whether you know, so it's like we have to purposefully take back the financial part. That's why the powernomics perspective is what I always talk about. Dr. Claude Anderson. You know, like we before we go to vote. Well, I say for me, before I go on a vote tangent, I have to get me and my wife named Taryn. I got to make sure that me and Taryn have a financial base. Make sure that me and Taryn have a financial base as a couple, as a married couple. And, you know, let's say our neighborhood is 54 homes. If 54 homes, if they were all black, then the goal for the first floor is for those 54 homes or 54 families to have that financial base. And once we have that financial base, then floor two is for a lot of us coming together and putting that financial base into a political perspective. And that's floor two. And then floor three is like, so it's like we don't have our financials straight. So we can't even get to steps 2, 3, or 4 because I don't care what Instagram say. We ain't got no money. We don't.
Well, let me Sean's saying white supremacy is the reason why black families are not I guess passing on knowledge or succeeding. What do you think, Ty?
I think it's more has to do with racial pride than anything. Like you've been saying, I don't know if it's really we don't have opportunities. We just not creating opportunities for ourselves and for the people behind us. We still have this keep up with the Joneses and crabs in a bucket mentality. I don't think there's plenty of opportunities. I mean, me and Fitz, if there were no opportunities, we wouldn't have master's degrees. We wouldn't be in the positions that we are now without creating those opportunities for ourselves. Nobody gave it to us, but we had to earn it. And I think with the way the things are now, people aren't willing to work for their opportunities. People have a sense of entitlement to where it's like, I'm owed this, and you're not owed anything in this world. And then again, tying that with the racial pride. I mean, if you're not proud to be who you are, it ain't gonna translate to anything else. So then does it become about white supremacy or the individual?
I mean, but who says that though? Yeah, I'm just wondering, like who really says that though? Like, I'm owed everything, so I don't have to do anything. Like,
well, I think a lot of black people.
I've been around.
Yeah,
I think that
I've
black
never
people
in
feel
my life.
entitled when it comes to other black people. Like, you should automatically spend your money with me because I'm black and you're black. And I think the truth of the matter is that Asian people, white people, all these other groups of people, they work harder for the black dollar than black people work for the black dollar.
Right.
Please elaborate.
So for example,
I would highly disagree.
So when I say that the other groups of people, they work harder for the black dollar, what I'm saying is it's no coincidence that all of the places that sell fake hair are owned by like Asian people or people outside the groups, outside of black people. There's nothing stopping black people from going and owning those stores.
But there is something. That's the part. There's something stopping us because they have that industry, because we tried on this side to tap into that industry, and it's very, very difficult. It's those conversations like Kanye would talk about with the fashion. People say, well, just do it yourself. It's like when there's a system set up that you can't penetrate, those Asian people own that beauty industry, and they have to let you in the part where, of course, we can do it on a level where it's on a smaller level. And I'm talking about getting good deals, getting good shipping, getting good for there's people that won't work with us. They just won't. They won't work with us.
But that's
I'm saying us, black people.
You can go start a hair business and get hair and things like that. But if you're not working for that, if you're not working for the business, then I don't think it's gonna pan out over the long term. But C-Dot, you said you disagreed. Why do you disagree that black people don't work as hard for the black dollar than other groups of people?
Because I think that like what you just said was kind of a disingenuous statement. There are several, especially if you're on social media. You can go all over Instagram and you'll see a plethora, especially of black women selling authentic hair. Selling synthetic hair. The problem is, where are they getting the hair from? We don't manufacture, so therefore they have to still work with these Asians in order to progress in that field or in that business. So I think that when we say that we don't try as hard and all this, no, it's not that. It's the fact that we've been shut out of a lot of these industries for so long. And like the brother was just saying, trying to get back into these industries, when we do try to get into these industries and see who they are controlled by, we then have to have an understanding of, like, okay, now we got to refocus on really trying to like repurpose that dollar, because that dollar is not going to circulate in the black community until we start making something, until we start manufacturing things. So for me, that's why I push Pan-Africanism so much, because I always say, if you want to help black people, it's no better way than actually trying to invest in Africa, invest in other black people, invest in other black resources, places where the majority of black people are, so that way these things can be accomplished.
I want to challenge what you said, because you said that what I said was being disingenuous, but I'm looking at it holistically. So if the Asian community has a grip on the hair manufacturing that black women wear or whatever, one, nobody's forcing black women to go get that hair to try to look like white women, but that's a separate issue. But two, that still takes work to shut to shut, like if black people are trying their hardest to break into this industry and Asian people are preventing that, that still takes work. So how is that disingenuous? Because you know, like
Well,
if
it's
black people
disingenuous
are like
because you're saying that black people aren't. But I mean, because you stated it as if black people aren't attempting to be inside of these industries. The brother gave you another example of Kanye West in the fashion industry, and what was said when trying to break through in those industries. Other brother who did FUBU, same thing. He told you exactly the same thing. The reason why he sold the company earlier, whatnot. All of these things are reality, bro. And to act as if it's based on black people not trying.
I didn't say they weren't trying.
That's ludicrous to
I
me.
said that
Because it's not
I said other
like,
groups work
the
harder.
history.
I was saying other groups work harder. I'm not saying black people aren't trying, but what I'm saying is like when I go to a black establishment and they're speaking to me rudely or disrespectfully, and I decide to go to another establishment, then that's what happened. They didn't do enough to earn my business. And what I'm saying is, what I see in the black community is a lot of black people want you to do business with them just because you're black and they're not going to go the extra mile that other groups may go to get that business. So when I'm going and speaking to a
but
white,
why do you say that like that?
go ahead.
But I'm wondering, like, because you're speaking as if that's the norm. Like any black business you go to, you're going to be spoken to disrespectfully. You're going to be that the norm where you're from. Like, do black businesses where you are all address you nasty or do bad business with you? Like, that's the issue I'm at. Because like I said, I'm Atlanta, so it's a lot of black businesses in Atlanta. So for me, it's kind of weird to say like every single black. I've been to a lot of white businesses that have been very nasty. I walked right out the door and didn't do business with them. But I never thought that was every single white business establishment. So why are we making it like? Why are we putting that stigma onto black business?
I'm not saying it's every black business, but I'll give you an example, right? Black people vote 89 to 95% Democrat, right? Without them having to do anything for black people. So
that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. So, how many black, like I said, when you say that they never do anything for black people, you got to be able to point out how black people have gained absolutely positively no progression since they've been involved with the Democratic Party. That wouldn't be true.
There's no other group of people that gives 89 to 95% of their vote to one party. That's just black people.
There's no other group of people there's no other group of people with the black experience. So why are we comparing ourselves to other people who don't experience the same things that we've experienced?
Because if you're only voting for one party, and the point that I was making with this was that when you're only voting for one party and they no longer have to go out and cater to you, maybe that's a better word than doing stuff for you, but cater to you to get your vote, then they're not gonna work as hard to get your vote. That's the point that I was making. So
I'm sorry, go ahead. I won't cut you off.
So the Democrat Party, the point I was making was the Democrat Party, they know black people are going to vote for them by and large. So they're not going to work as hard to get our vote than they would for another community where it's split. And I look at the business side the same way. If you're Korean and you don't speak this language and you understand you're going into the black community where they think this and they think that and blah, 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 you understand that you're going up against the grain. So you're going to work a little harder to get that business if that's your whole business. But if you're black and you grow up around these people and you may get comfortable and be like, I'm from here. These are black people. I'm black people. I'm a black person. That's all I'm saying is when you're coming in as an outsider, I think you tend to work harder when your back is more against the wall and you don't have an advantage.
That's not true at all. I understand there's a lot of non-black businesses and black communities, and they're the rudest. They disrespect us. They follow us around the stores. because their image of black people is what they see on TV. They don't even, it's not even, they don't even humanize us, give us that respect, and their business is right in the middle of a black community. They're not trying hard at all. That happens every day in America. That's been the case as long as I've been alive.
Let me get this straight. All these great black businesses are getting passed over so that black people can go get disrespected by other groups of people.
When you talk about a community, it's a dense place, and of course, I don't know where everybody lives at, but a lot of times when you live in these communities, the businesses in these communities, they serve the community. So people don't have cars to go drive the next city, the next zip code, the next such and such. So they're locally going to whatever's close to them. And these businesses aren't black owned. I'll speak where I'm at. A lot of these businesses, they're not black owned. They're non-black people that have storefronts in black communities. So they don't have the option to go anywhere else. They don't have the option. I mean, of course, on paper, of course, go somewhere else, but it's not realistic. So these people where we have to patron, they don't have to be nice to us. And for the most part, they don't even treat us like we're human. They treat us like they see us on TV, like they just, all these black people, all they do is steal, all they do is this, and all they do is that. They have that mindset. That's not a black people thing.
Is there high crime in that area?
I don't know.
So then,
if it's a dense area, I'm sure there's a high crime. If it's a dense area,
wouldn't they be justified in feeling like that if there's high crime in that? If there's high crime in an area, and they're saying that
because it's not because of that, it's not because of no high crime. It's because of their brainwashing. It's not. So
there's high crime in the area, and they're just being racist by saying they think that a crime may take place in a high crime. They
discriminate. I don't want to say racist because they don't have much power. They still ring it out. They don't stop black people from shopping there. So for me, racism is a power thing. They stop black people
from owning businesses there.
No, well, when it comes to businesses, of course, you got to have resources. You got to have options to have capital. A lot of time, these people can go to bank. That's why I'm starting my bank. Like I keep typing. There's a reason why we don't have. I'm saying we don't have black-owned banks. We have a small amount of black-owned banks around the country. Majority of banks, people that own it don't look like us. So when we walk in to go get a loan or go get capital, again, when we go in to go try to get capital, we're not getting approved for much of anything because there's a disconnect. So there are people that don't look like us that get access to capital. And when they get access to capital, they're able to go get a storefront. And then when they're able to get a storefront, they're able to go they're able to get vendor credit. They're able to get vendor, it isn't a one size fits all for them. They're able to get more access to capital.
What's the average credit score between black applicants and those other applicants? So this is the problem that I have with this conversation is it becomes very hypothetical very quickly.
You assume that black people don't have high credit scores, and that's not right.
No, I'm asking what is the average one, because it's like if we're
black
just going to say they went in and they're worse candidates and they have lower credit scores.
I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
But that's the narrative that you're pushing out is like
no, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. So it ain't because of us. Again, it's not because of us. It's because of a system. It's systematically done. It's not because we're not trying.
So on a large scale, are you saying that there are qualified black people on a large scale and that they are systematically denied loans to the point of where they have the capital, they have the credit, they have the correct DTI, all of that, that they're just, there's this untapped market. How many out of all of the percentages, I guess, of black people,
that's white supremacy that you keep trying to ignore. That's the white supremacy.
I'm not ignoring it. I'm just saying I'm not ignoring it. What I'm saying is that oftentimes the main factors get swept under the rug as to why people are getting denied. And if you just say racism, like that should be the last thing you want it to be, because if what you're saying is true and that it's just racism and that this person could be a billionaire and they couldn't go in there and get that loan, then that means that why teach the children anything, right? Why teach your children anything? Why have hope? Why do anything? Because it's 100% that you're going to go into this bank and get denied. So why work on your credit score? Why?
The same reason I tell people it's raining outside. I tell people it's raining outside so they can go get a coat. So they don't walk outside with a t-shirt and shorts acting like, so they're properly prepared. What I tell people isn't that they can't, it's to properly equip them with the right tools to be able to come out. That's the goal. The goal isn't to say what can't happen. That's dramatic. It's not one side or the other side. There's a whole bunch of gray that we don't talk about, and we act like it's one side or the other. No, there's a whole bunch of gray in all this
But that's
conversation.
what you're doing.
That's just what I'm doing.
You're saying that you're saying that in large, systematically, I don't know. Let's use percentages. Are you like 90%? Do you think that 90% of the black people that go in to get a loan to start a business are 100% qualified to get that loan?
I don't know. I'm not in there. So what I don't do is I don't go off there because I don't know. What I do know is that per the SBA, the Small Business Association, there's 2% of black-owned companies in America. 2% per the SBA, the Small Business Association. So that's not a Sean thing. That's the Small Business Association, the American government. So that's
from you, I want to know.
Yes.
From you, I want to know what percentage of black-owned business or would-be black-owned businesses do you think are 100% qualified to get the loan and are denied because they're black?
60%, 65%.
Where are you getting those numbers from?
My lived experience.
But your lived experience is very limited, and
because I'm giving you SBA, and you don't want to. You're saying me. So what I'm saying is that my lived experience, the people, my network, the people that go into places that have higher credit scores than their white counterparts, and they're not given opportunity. So when they're not given opportunity, when they're fully qualified, my brain has to go, well, why is that? Why aren't they? And I don't have an answer.
What are the answers? But so what you're saying is like you think 65% of what
I know to be true from working with a bank and working with a mortgage company is that there's underwriters. There's people behind the scenes that make decisions that are not to do with a credit score. Because we used to do it at Green Box Loans. We used to do it where we didn't care about credit score. We didn't care about foreclosure. We didn't care about, we can get somebody in a loan if we wanted them in a loan. And why would we want them in a loan if they were a W-2 employee with a paycheck and they got paid every week, bi-weekly, or every month? That was consistent income. If somebody was a self-employed, if somebody had a higher credit score but they didn't have a job and they were self-employed, we didn't approve them. The guy that earned $2 million per year, he didn't get approved. The guy that worked at Burger King that made $8 an hour, he got approved. And I'm like, well, why is that? And my boss back then, my mentor now, but he said, that's how the game goes. And I didn't understand because I was new to it. Like, what do you mean how the game goes? But now that I've been in it for a lot of years, I'm like, I get it. That's how the game goes. America wants you to be in their box. If you're in their box, they'll mess with you. But there's still somebody, I keep saying the underwriter, there's still somebody behind the scenes that's going to yay or nay it. And that's a person, it's not a computer. It's not a credit score. It's a person. And they got your credit file. They know all about your banking. They know all about your income, your job, so on and so forth. And too many times, the people that are making these choices don't look like us. And because they don't look like us, when we come in, when we're coming in and they don't look like us, and they're the ones making it, the choices. We come up on the other side of the perspective, and we're not getting the okays. That's why we need more mortgage brokers that are black, more realtors, more title companies. We need more adjusters. We need more black people that look like us, that have the same mindset, that won't walk into a place and give a lower appraisal because we're black, because they understand the value of that property as such. That's an American thing. That's not that we can't fight that. That's systematic.
But I'm asking for because the way you're saying it is like very confident, like black, that you threw out 65% and you're saying it, but then you're saying your lived experience, but we're talking about holistically. You're saying 65%, that's the number you're sticking with. And I'm just saying, where are you getting that from? Because earlier you were talking about, well, black people, they go into these establishments and those people, the Korean people, they treat them like they see on TV, not based on reality. And it seems like you're doing the same thing when it comes to opportunity and financing, where these aren't numbers that you've seen, but you're basing
the numbers I've seen from the SBA. So the SBA, we're not getting no approvals. We're 90 something. We're only getting 2.7% approvals of small business for black business, not businesses, period, for black owned companies. And I'm saying the US government This ain't a Sean thing. This is a U.S.
Right.
government thing.
2%.
So if the U.S. government is
Why?
saying that we're 2% of a small business force, to me, that's crazy.
But that doesn't mean that it's because of racism. There could be
What is
plenty
it?
of reasons why.
Then tell me some reasons why.
Well, we're
well,
only 13% of the
I got my
population.
I got my notepad out, and I'm curious to write some down so I can definitely understand how this works. Where we're
Absolutely.
not seeing a difference.
We're only 13% of the population. There's
Yeah.
even less entrepreneurs. So
Mhm.
it then reasons why it would make sense that we're only 2%. But
Yeah.
also on top of that 2%, how many of the people that applied were just they went online and they filled out the application just to see what they could get? We live in a time period now where you can go online and fill out an application and there's not a hard credit check. And so many people just go online to see what they could get. So they're not necessarily serious about starting a business. They just want to see what they could do if they wanted to. How much of that gets factored in? And I'm not one of the people that but say we're 13% of the population, so we need to be 13% of the business loans, 13% of the CEOs. That's
Well, I'm
already
saying
been
that we need to be 40% of we need to be 40%. Like I love DC Mayor Marion Barry, and he Marion Barry. He was called the DC Mayor for life, even though he had a drug scandal in the late 80s, early 90s. But what he used to do was to say you wouldn't if all the contracts coming through Washington. You know, Washington is a certain amount black city. There needs to be 40% black contracts coming to black-owned companies.
That makes absolutely no sense. Just because you're a certain percentage of the population does
but you
not
see how that
mean
works? Because he's from the city, he did that. He made it an important issue. If he didn't have that heart for that, he would be like every other city council in America and just be like, it is what it is. You better qualify, but you have to purposefully, when you know that we're not properly represented, you have to purposefully change that. If you don't purposefully do it, it's not going to do it because of the system. That's not how that works. That's not any of this stuff works. The system is skewed, all of it.
What were you gonna say, Ty?
Well, that mentality takes us out of the game. If I go into a place and they deny me and I automatically think it's discrimination or is this, and this, and I don't look at or analyze my stuff and see what I did wrong or what was going on, it takes me out of the game. It makes me not want to apply. It makes me not want to have that business, be an entrepreneur, whatever the case is.
That's not a youth thing. That's an American thing. The more you apply, the worse your credit score gets. That's the system.
But it takes you out of the game, because if I go in knowing, okay, these people don't give a damn about me, they think I'm going to be this, and this, it's going to show in my behaviors. Now, if we're talking about human behavior, subconsciously, if I'm thinking that, I'm going to automatically exhibit those behaviors when I interact with them. And then I'm going to come off exactly what they saw on TV or whoever they met, whatever. I'm going to start exhibiting those behaviors and I'm going to be like, forget it. I don't care. I'm going to be what they think I am. So we take ourselves out of the game because we place so much of an emphasis on race, which to begin with is a social construct, right? And then we are where we are because of that. I can't carry that mentality. I can acknowledge and say I might have challenges because people don't have life experience. I can say that, but that's not going to be what I'm going to lead with, because I'm going to show up organized, ready to go, got everything I need to do. If I don't get it, I don't get it. It may be off of race. It may be because my business plan sucks. It could be a million things. But we can't just jump to racism, and then racism and discrimination is two different things. They just get roped under the umbrella together. But we have to be careful saying it's racism. It might just be discrimination. It could be because you're black. It could be because the way you dress. It could be because of your hair. It could be any little thing. It could be religious. That you might have earrings on or tattoos, and they're like, nah, I'm a Christian. We don't even get down like that. So we got to stop taking ourselves out of the game and placing so much emphasis on that.
Let me ask you this, Sean.
That shouldn't matter for credit. Again, when you're doing business, that shouldn't matter.
That's the world we live in, though.
But it looks like you froze. Yeah, it looks like you froze a little bit, Sean.
I'm gonna have to peace out here soon, brother.
All right, you got 5 minutes in you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sean frozen.
Looks like you frozen, Sean. The white man done hacked the screen.
The white man cell service right there, boy. Go ahead, get your
Yeah, it looks like you froze, Sean.
Yeah, he'll hop on or he'll see it. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna ask him a question, but I guess we'll start wrapping things up.
Yep.
Oh, there he goes. I think he's coming back up.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, yeah, you had frozen. Ty has to go here shortly, but I was gonna just I guess finish on one last question. We're talking about kind of systemic racism, things like that. And I think we've had similar conversations about this, and that we kind of just fundamentally disagree on how much systemic racism holds an individual Black person back. But I wanted to ask you, Sean, in your own personal life, what is it that you can't do because of systemic racism?
I think I answered this before when we was talking about a couple weeks ago. In my personal life, it's not what I can't do, because I can do anything. I can get a job. I can drive a car. I can do the things. The systematic stuff becomes when I try to equal my white peers, when I try to get a loan for my business the same way that my white peers do, and I don't get the same amount. That's the issue. That's not a business plan or credit score. That's because that's a Black thing. When I go to do real estate, that's why I don't. A lot of times I cut the middleman out. I cut realtors out. I cut brokers out. I deal with I go with the person that has the deed or title, because I'm not dealing with the people that's the systematic part of it. That's where that comes from. It's not because I don't appreciate realtors or brokers. It's because I don't need them. Because if I get into that system, I'm going to allow myself to be a part of that. I'm going to allow myself, to be a part of the good or bad, up or down, of that. It's not about what I can't do. It's the quality of me doing it. The reason why I feel so beat down sometimes is not because I'm not trying. That's why I don't like when people just saying, "Oh, y'all lazy." That's the easy thing to say to somebody. It's not fair. That's very easy for anybody to just say, "Oh, Black people, y'all not trying." That's not fair. A lot of us are trying very hard, but what happens is when you try very hard, you're coming against a system that's not allowing it to be equal. And I always say, if it's equal with a white guy and a Black guy, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with equality. But that's why I told y'all before, I'm off equality. I'm on equity. I build equity up because I know it's not equal. I know me going to something and a white man going to something. It's not the same. That's not how America works.
Why are we fighting to be accepted or to live by the standards of our peers? If I'm a business owner, I go in and get a loan, and my other white counterpart gets $1 million, and I get 750,000. I still got the money. I still got.
But is that what they got?
But that doesn't matter, because my mission is to create something to better the community. I can't be worried about Buddy getting $1 million because I'm focused on my impact. So why would I focus on him? I need to focus on staying authentic to what I'm doing, and whatever I get,
that's the issue. When we don't fight for that, that's the issue. When it gets systematic and people, when it's like I don't know who got kids, but your kids and my kids, and like when it keeps going to like we're not getting no better, that's because the people that were before us didn't fight for that, and then we're not fighting for that. So our kids don't fight for that, and it's like we don't understand. Like that's not right. And everything you just said, everything you just said, if your business is qualified.
But our mission, though, it's not right, and I agree with that point. It's not right.
That's the part. If it's not right, that's what we gotta. That's what we agree upon.
Yeah, it's not right, but I can't focus too much on that because then it takes me out the game. Then I'm like, well, shit, I can't do nothing with $750K because I ain't got $1 million. When I can do a lot.
I can walk and chew gum. I can say it's not fair, and I can still fight the system.
What I'm trying
I
to
do both.
figure out though is where is this information coming from that he's getting more than you? Like, where is that? Because you're saying your personal experience.
The SBA tells us that literally when it comes to business, this ain't a Sean thing. SBA.gov. You can literally Google anything you want, and it's not a .com, it's a .gov. You can see who are getting what from where. So then you can start to figure out, you know, when it comes to me, when I think about where I want to do a home office, you know, where I want to do the opportunity zones. I'm not twirling my thumbs and just selecting something. I'm literally going on maps and trying to figure out where I can get the most funding from based on the local government, based on, like, you know,
But those are averages. Those are averages and medians, but that's not the same thing as an individual going in and an individual going in, and you're comparing apples to apples a lot of times. So it's like, just because the SBA data says this and you're not getting that, that doesn't mean that you were discriminated against if you're not getting that number that the SBA said was the average, because there's different factors that could go into them calculating that average that may not apply in your situation.
We already know that the systematic part of how America works, there can be a black man that's college educated. That people always talk about the part of our community that might not want to go that route. With the college educated 2-parent black male, is being overperformed by the non-college white man as far as job. Like, America already shows us it's not equal. You know, like
that there's reasons for that. There's
equal. Why is that? Why? How can you say there's? I know white supremacy. Now, what is your reason?
There's
for that
reasons outside of white supremacy.
I'm curious.
But
if somebody has a 4-year degree,
you're right. All 4-year degrees are not created equal. It's been shown that black men typically go for degrees in fields like sociology, psychology, fields that don't pay as much. And just because you're a high school diploma earner does not mean you're necessarily going to have a lower income, especially if you're going into things like electrician, plumbing, you're doing trades, things that you can run and operate a business in.
Why don't we see it the other way?
Because black people aren't going into trades.
I got you, my man. That's what's up. Maybe
we're not going into trades like that. So there's other explanations besides racism. Just because you have a college degree doesn't mean you're necessarily going to earn more than somebody who doesn't. You have to look at what degree a person is going towards. Just like the women tend to go towards more like social work and things like that. And the argument's made, well, they get paid less than men. Look at the degrees people are going into. Look at the fields people are going into. Sometimes jobs without education requirements, sales jobs and things like that, you could earn a lot more than somebody who has a college degree and has a master's degree. It depends on what field. So we have to break it down like that. But because if the conversation is just, I have a 4-year degree and you don't, so racism is the reason why, then you're not even looking at the fact that this person may have a trade. This person has been doing this for 15 years.
This is what Dr. Umar says that I agree with. When he says some of the stuff, when people like some of the stuff he's saying, when he's like, well, show me the white equivalent to that. That's how my brain works. Everything you say might be logical. It might make sense in theory, but show me the white version of a white man that's a 4-year graduate and a black man that doesn't go to college and he's outperforming them on the job market. Show me the industry, because I'm not saying one. Tell me the one.
Car salesman, sales jobs. You don't really need a college degree.
Sales job, anybody, my dog can get a job. Yeah, sales
right.
Job
You can get a sales job, and if you're good at that sales job, you can out earn people who have a college degree. You could out earn doctors.
My man, I got you. That's what's up. I got you. I understand. Again,
you said you're a real estate investor, right?
Yeah.
There are doctors. There are doctors that can't go out and buy the type of properties that you're talking about because they don't have the money to. That's an example right there.
Well,
you didn't go to school as long to be a doctor, but you may out earn some doctors. So there's an example right there.
While I live, that's again, it's the American thing. It's a rich dad, poor dad thing, that cash flow quadrant. I live my life based on the quadrant. So a doctor is self-employed, so they're the highest tax bracket. So they're going to, so there's reasons for stuff like that.
But there's reasons, but you said to give you an example, And I gave you an
No, I
example.
understand the example. The example when you said sales job, my dog can get a sales job. That's not even a thing.
Right,
That's
but
not even
the
a
idea is that the
That's not
industry
a
that you
thing.
go in matters. And when you're talking about a sales job, you can earn commission and make a lot more money than
What's the
somebody.
second industry? What's the second industry that where you can do that outside
It's
of
mainly
sales?
it's sales jobs, it's
Yeah.
trades jobs, it's pretty much things where you have the opportunity to be more entrepreneurial, and you can learn a trade and you can
Yeah.
use your hands to do stuff.
I
But if what
just don't like it when it's black people. It's the reason when it's like the other side is like that's why our numbers, that's why our wealth is underperforming. That's why we're not making money as a community. That's why we have a lack of confidence where majority of us vote for Democrats for a white savior. And they're not providing us with any policy. Because like, well, that's what I talk about. When people talk about what I'm saying, I'm like, but y'all, not you. I'm saying y'all. I'm from DC. We say y'all. But when people vote Democrat, I agree with you. When we vote 97% for a party that doesn't give us any policy, that's giving up. That's giving up. And I always say to my Democratic people, I'm like, and they say, well, what else can we do? That they're broken and they're not white or black. I mean, for our conversation, they are black. A lot of folks that had that mindset, but a lot of white folks do the same thing. A lot of white folks do the same thing, man. A lot of time when it comes to us, we get the part where it's negative and it's talked down upon. Other people do stuff that we all do. It's not a black or white thing. It's a human thing. People are rude. It's not a black business thing. Walmart is rude. Target is rude. I don't know if you go to Target or Walmart, but I don't go there no more. I don't spend my money in places where I know they don't respect my dollar. That's a Sean thing. That's not a black.
Let me ask you this, and this will be my final question because I do have to go. Do you think that someone who is focused on succeeding would be better off blaming racism for their issue or taking accountability, and even if it is racism, trying to find ways to improve?
I believe racism is at the beginning of and the end of everything. So I blame racism for a lot of stuff, but I still
even before you know the facts.
But the facts are it's racism.
But that's not a fact.
It started when I was a child, when I went through the K through 12 system, when I was indoctrinated. That's when I say like it didn't just start when I became an adult. They indoctrinate all of us. My children, me and my wife found out
something right now.
You want to
go start a business right now. You want to go do something. You're saying that you start out being like, no matter what it is, it's going to be racism. And
I start a new business every month of the year. Every month of the year, I start a new business. I started one yesterday. Every month of the year, I start a brand new LLC. So everything I'm saying, I do it every month. I do it brand new. It's as we all know, it's very easy to do with LLCs. That's the easy part. The EIN number, the banking, and all that type of stuff. That's very easy. That's the easy part. When it comes to getting capital, which is the issue in our community, we can start. When they say black women are the highest business, brand new business owners, all that stuff is cute to me. But when I hear it, they're not getting capital. So they're going to fail because they're not able to get capital. Why are they not getting capital if they're 4-year graduates and they earn the most and so on and so forth for black women? Because the system is not designed for black business owners, one, specifically black women, two. So, when I try to help somebody, I try to say, incorporate your company and then go to your state and tell them you're a minority owned and tell them you're a woman owned. Why should I do that, Sean? Because now you're going to be able to lean on your local.
I think that mindset is dangerous. I think that if
that's how you get capital. That's how we get capital. But if you
walk into a situation saying, it doesn't matter what the facts are, it doesn't matter how qualified I am, the reason I'm going to get denied is because of racism, then how do you even get qualified?
I encourage you to look up what a minority is in America. And I already know because I do it every day. It's white woman, gay man, gay woman, East Indian, Asian Indian, Latino, black woman. So even black woman is above black man, then black man. So we're not even in the top 8 of the minority list in America. So why does that matter? That matters because it's not about when people say black, we support black business. My retort is how? You can't get a black grant because we're not black, we're minority. So the reason why I'm saying these things to these business owners is not because, I'm saying, your credit can't. I'm showing them how the system works, and I'm showing them how to get access to capital the way America works, not the way that Sean works. I wish you can go to Bank of America. I wish you can go to Wells Fargo, but you can't. We have to go to New Tech. We got to go to Blue Vine. We have to go to these funding companies as a minority, women, disabled, veteran-owned company. You got to certify your company in your state. Like, we have to, again, my white counterparts ain't got to do that. They ain't got to do that. But why don't they have to do that? Is it because their companies are better or worse? I don't know. I don't go that far. But I do know that they're white. So because they're white,
that's important. Because you're saying you don't know that far, but you're saying it's racism. So how do you know that it's racism if you don't actually look into it to see if there's other reasons?
The application doesn't matter for all that. It doesn't matter about. I'm talking about the way that we get funding for companies. They don't care about what's good or what's bad. That's not a thing. So that's not even a part of the application process for any state. And I haven't done all states. I've done 31 states. But I know I've done your state, I've done my state, I've done majority of the people that's want to probably see the states. They don't care about what you do or how you do it. They want you to, even in your business plan, you have the verbiage. They want you to help the veteran, the less fortunate, the this, the that. You have to even write it a certain way. They can care less what you do, but it's a systematic thing where you have to ding their check marks to be able to get to the next part. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish I can go into a bank and off my merit. I wish it, and my credit sucks. I wish I can go off my merit, but I can't. I would even do that. I would even be okay with that. Me having a bad credit score and being able to go to Bank of America off that merit. I would be okay with that. But they don't care about that. They care about the fact that I'm a black man trying to do a funding company, trying to do a bank, trying to do a insurance company. Whoa, what are you trying to do it for? Because I want to help my community. Wait a minute. I'm not saying to be funny. The questions on like that, why are you doing that? Why are you opening up a bank in the community? So I'm showing that these questions they're asking, not because they're not stupid. And they're not going to make it easy for any of us. This ain't a Sean thing or a Fizz thing. This is the systematic part. Me doing a bank. It's the craziest application that I'm doing. This FCI, this FHIC, what is it? Federal something I see. Insurance that
FDIC.
Yeah, the application that I'm doing for that, bro. We can do that offline. If I can just show you what it looked like, the application for that, I know why there's not that many black-owned banks. Because it's systematic. It's not because we ain't trying. It's not because we're not intelligent enough to see the system. It's because the system is still going to have the yes or no on my application. And if they say no, I can't open the bank. No matter how much I try and how much I can do it and I do the affirmations. They have the yes or no on my applications. So they'll approve the realty company. They'll approve the clothing company. They'll approve the bakery. They'll approve all that stuff. But when you start trying to get an insurance company, when you try to start to get a bank, yeah, okay. Not you. I'm saying because I'm doing that stuff. I'm in that space. I've been in that space. And it's not for lack of trying. So I'm saying both. It's white supremacy. I'm still doing it. So I'm an example of me not saying, oh man, it's too hard. It's hard. It's very hard. But I still have to do it. Me and my wife found out we're expecting our first child last night, 6 hours ago. We found out she's pregnant, our first child. I appreciate that. So I get more passion. I was passionate before, and I ain't had no kids. I'm fighting for y'all kids. And now I got my own. Oh my goodness. I'm saying all that to say I'm fighting a system that black people like, man, it ain't racism. If you just try harder, and I'm like, man, maybe. But now that I got my own kid coming, now I really can't stop. Now when I get mad at black folks, I'm like, man, F them. I got my own child, and I don't want them to come up in the system as it is. I don't want that. And because of that, I have to fight the wars. I got to fight the system. I'm going to court. I'm going to court for Maryland for doing incorporation of a city. I have high lawyer fees. I want help. I want y'all to come to our court date and say, Your Honor, he's the great black man. I want y'all to come and say, look at his merit. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. If I was white, it'd be easier.
I do have to wrap up soon, but I want to thank you for coming on. What I will say to
Always.
wrap everything up is I think we just have a difference of opinion on how much systemic racism actually affects our everyday life. I
Agree.
I hear what you're saying. It just like when you say things like you walk into it knowing it's going to be racism without ever
Yeah.
hearing the facts first. To me, it's troubling because, you know, for somebody that's trying to do something and maybe they're not as confident or they don't know this and they just think, okay, it's racism. So why would I then need to go and improve my credit score? Or why would I need to go in and make more capital? Like, I feel like if you don't understand why you're being denied, or you don't understand why something isn't working out, and you just say that it's racism, it stops you from doing what's necessary in order to achieve your goal. I believe
I
that.
think if people were going to stop, they were going to stop anyway. That wasn't going to stop them. People like, and I think
If you
people
believe
like
that
you
it's
and me,
racism
we're
and you
self.
can't do anything about it, you don't
It
even
is a
get
system.
started.
But that's what I'm
There's so
saying.
many.
I'm an example. The system is fucking effing me over. Excuse me. But I'm still trying. Every day I'm trying. So I'm an example of somebody that the system is not letting in the good old boy club, and I'm still getting up every day, dusting myself off,
What
trying again
percentage
every day.
of the time do you think you're correct about racism holding you back?
99.9%.
All
I
right,
think
so
so.
you're 99. So if you're walking around 99% sure that it's
Yeah.
racism without analyzing the facts, without looking into that stuff, to me
Yeah.
that seems more stressful, and that seems like adding extra barriers on. To me, that's like I can't cross the street over there because I'm 99% sure that there's a bear that's going to attack me and kill me. And I'm asking you, well, why do you think that? Well, that's
Yeah.
just what I think. You don't have statistics on how many bear
We
attacks
had
have
a
been over
court
there.
date. We had a court date for our incorporation, and my lawyer told me to send Tommy. If you remember Tommy, that's the white guy that I contract with my company, the white guy. He's a contractor that I really only use to show up for stuff.
Right.
The lawyer told me to send Tommy to the court date. He said, check this one out. This is one of the most important court dates of the incorporation status, and I'm the one doing it. And he's telling me to sit it out. Send the white guy. He's my lawyer. I pay him big money to be able to guide my company, to guide me to. So this ain't a Sean thing. This ain't me thinking the world, the system, and when you get people around you that you pay to win. I pay him to win. And the winning strategy of my lawyer says, sit it out. Don't come. Don't come. As the black man, as your name is on the application, don't come.
Have you asked him why he says that?
Yes, because I'm black. Yes, because
Okay.
they're not going to allow any black man to incorporate a city in Maryland. They're not.
And
That's
what
his
color are
words.
they?
White, Jewish.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's the white lawyer telling you that.
Yes.
And
there has never been there's never been a black man in the last 172 years that's been approved for incorporation of a city in the state of Maryland. That's what he told me. And they're not going to start today. It's what he said. They're not going to start today. So set it out. And as mad as I was, I'm like, bro, but I'm a good guy. Like
do you think any of that has to do with maybe conversations you've had with him about your ideas on racism or anything like that?
No, we talking about incorporating the city. It's business. This ain't about that. This is about getting the charter approved to be able to go on the special ballot to vote in May. This ain't about how I feel about white supremacy. This is about that part. And to win, was all he cares about. So it's, in this status, this is the winning. So I had to I got to swallow that part. I can't tell my Jewish lawyer my white supremacy views because he don't care about that. I don't pay him for that, to care about my views. I pay him to win.
So just to be clear, if you didn't have Tommy on your team, it would be impossible for you to get this city.
It would be a wrap. It would be, I would have to go because there would be no other option, but he would let me know that there would be no option of, there would be no pathway forward of them approving this. Because and not even to Maryland. This is why I fight for everyone else to fight. If y'all don't fight, there's no case in any other county in the states where we can say in your state, in Texas, and so in Dallas County, Fitz, what's your real name? Fitzgerald did this and this time, and there's no example. So we would be the, but because there's nobody before me, I don't have that option. So in order for us to have the best chance, and that's not even saying they're going to prove it. That's for the best chance. That's the game. The best chance is for them not to see my black face, and for Tommy to show up. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm talking to you, right? I'm talking to you the truth. I'm telling you how I feel about it because it's me and you. But as a business owner, I have to be able to be okay with the win. Whatever gets us the win. And me not showing up is going to get us the win. Now, when we get the win, we get the federal funding. So it's greater than me. It's greater than my feelings being hurt. It's greater than me. Just not this white supremacy is we need funding. So if we can get $137 million to us, Tommy, go ahead and go. Go ahead and go. And I'll rant to Fitz about this, but I won't bring it up to y'all. You know, that's the game. The game of America is like that. And can't nobody tell me wrong because you can't tell, not you, but even you, there's no example because white people are going along and incorporating cities. They're incorporating towns in America. They're doing it now. Not even like in 1800, in 1900, in 2024, March, there's white people incorporating towns as we speak. So there's examples of that, but you can't find one of a black person or even a Spanish, Indian, non-FBA person doing the same thing because it doesn't exist. So why is that? That's my question. And can't nobody tell me why that is.
I think you should dig deeper into it because if it's well, why is it? And that's where it ends. And there's no deeper investigation. And it's just, well, it's because of racism. Then you may miss out on why it actually is. And maybe part of it is racism. Maybe part of it is some other things, but you won't find out those other things if you just leave it at it's racism. That's my whole point.
That's the business part. I don't have the time for that. When people say you should tell them, I ain't got the time to go back and forth with white people. I have to be focused on the goal, and you know that's why they do the reparations HR. They want to have people go in and check it out and research and figure out. There needs to be something that goes in to figure out why that's the case. That's not my gifting. My gifting is not to do that. My gifting is to tell people what it is and then do the stuff that we're not able to do. And again, most of the stuff is no. I hear no majority of my life. So when I'm saying this to you, I'm saying it as a person, you know, what can't I do? I can do everything, but it's daggone hard to do it. And it's very frustrating to do it. And people, when I say black folks, come do it with me. Nobody be showing up. Nobody want to come. Nobody want to come on the lawyer calls. Everybody want to tell me what it is, but nobody want to hop on the calls to figure out how to make it move forward. So I receive everybody's perspective, but when it comes to doing the work, you know, I don't want to say, you know, Gigi, Negroes, you know, I don't want to say y'all. People don't care as much as we post about. People don't care as much as we do videos about our plight, and that's my problem. If that's the case, just say that. Just say, you know, I'm white people are superior. Y'all need to do better as black folks. White businesses are superior. Black businesses are rude. I truly believe that. Stand on that. I will respect that more than making people believe it's not a systematic issue in America, because we all know it's true. Like if we being honest, we all know it's not an even playing ground. It's not an even, playing ground. I even heard Ty say something to you about the real estate stuff, and y'all have your own backstories about. But I'm sure there's stuff that happens to you in your own life where you're like, I should have been got that. I should have been whatever it was. And you can make whatever you want to default it to. But for me, I'm old enough to get past that part. I'm not giving them no out. It's white supremacy. I live long enough to get it. I get it. Now, it's not to say we can't overcome, but what I'm saying is that if we don't say what it is, we can't set our kids up to be able to beat it, because as long as you saying it's not there, your kids are going to come and say, oh, Daddy, you know, they're going to say stuff to you, and I know you're not going to tell them it's not white supremacy. You know, I don't want to tell what you're going to say. But in my brain, you're not going to just give them this La La Land version of what America is. I don't think you're going to do that for your child.
Well, not La La Land, but what it is like, oh, you didn't get an A in that class, white supremacy. Well, then how do I actually know that that's what it is? How do I know that you haven't been studying? I want to dive deeper, and I want to get to the white supremacy last, because if I just say it's something you can't control, and then you don't do anything about what you can control. That's my perspective, is you're less likely to. If everything is white supremacy and there's nothing that can be put on you, then you can't really do anything. I don't truly believe that. I think there's more opportunity than we know what to do with in this country. And I don't believe
That's true. I agree with that.
And I don't believe that racism is really a barrier for holding people back anymore when it comes to things that they want to do. I think that, if we stop at racism and we don't, I say this, and then I have to dip out. But what I say is, like, even if it is racism, you're better off moving forward as if it wasn't, because I think you get better results that way versus it's racism and then you don't try. And I'm not saying that's what you do.
No, I know. But if you have that perspective, then how do we with the Black community and not even white, everybody else, how do we make way and like get closer to like an equitable society if we don't call it out, and then so we can try to fix it and attack it? How do we bridge the gap?
I think the way that we bridge the gap is we take 100% accountability for our success. We spend less time in the weeds of was this racism, was that racism, and then we focus on what are the actionable things that we can control. Because if it is racism, if it's truly racism, if I can't go get a loan because I'm Black, then I just need to stop trying to go get loans and I need to go focus on what I can do. That's where my mind goes when it's race. If it's truly racism and I can't do this, like I know that I can't jump up and start flapping my arms and take off flying. So I would look stupid focusing all my time trying to jump up and fly like this, even if I saw white people doing it. I know that I can't do it. If I truly believe I can't do it, I'm not going to focus any more time on doing it. But that's not the story. The story is, well, we can get loans, but we're getting denied more than white people. Why? And when I ask why, if the conversation just stops at it's racism, that doesn't help me, is what I'm saying. It's like, if it really is racism, then I just need to stop trying to get loans. But if it's maybe some of it's racism, but there's also these legitimate things there as well. That dude's an asshole. We'll figure it out. But look at your credit score right here. Yeah, maybe they gave it to him. He's white. He has 2 points difference between you. They gave it white. Okay, cool. But in general, you should probably have a higher credit score if you're trying to get this. Okay, I can live with that. Now I can go get the higher credit score, and whatever they do, they do. That's the
I learned in America. I learned in America, credit score doesn't mean anything. That's not a hindrance for any real movement of the needle. People that have no credit or low credit are doing big things, and people that have high credit scores are doing middle class things and not moving the needle. We spend, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying the mindset of just it being a credit thing is like, that's just an
example.
Of course. Yeah.
Like my wife does home loans. If somebody comes in with a 560 credit score, there's a lot less that she can do versus somebody that has a 650 or 720. Because of the guidelines and the automatic kickbacks that you get from the system when they're doing the automatic underwriting. So that's what I'm saying. It's like maybe on a higher level.
That's my question. What type of kickbacks are there? Who's giving the kickbacks and why are they giving the kickbacks? My question goes to the financial part of everything. Like, so
when I say kickbacks, I'm saying like there's an automatic underwriting system to where a lot of companies they don't do manual underwriting anymore. They do automatic underwriting where you fill out the application, then it pulls the information from the application, and the system won't let you move forward unless this is addressed. So the credit score is 620. Here's what we can offer, and you cannot manually change that, because we have a automatic underwriting system. So when I say kickback, I'm saying it doesn't allow you to move forward. Not kickback like you're getting benefits, but kickback like the application gets kicked back.
I know that kickback, so I appreciate you for elaborating. My perspective is I've seen kickbacks from mortgage companies and realty companies and realtors where they get a kickback and a commission or a spiff or a boost by doing these loans in these certain zip codes that are that I know are bad, that they know are bad, but because the banks they want certain type of families and these certain type of upper class zip codes versus the other ones, and they're getting the kickback, the boost by, and it's same concept of redlining is just a more advanced version.
As a real estate agent, that would happen. Like for instance, with new builds, the new builds may offer 4% commission, where the other real estate agents offer 3%. But it was mainly used as a marketing tactic because they understand real estate agents are going to show property more if the commission is higher, and they want to, maybe the market is they can't hold on to that debt for a long time, so they save money if they offer a higher commission to the real estate agent because it's going to create more attention to get it sold faster. I've seen that tactic. I've seen the loan officers offer credits to certain people that the loan's not going to be able to close unless they get this $2,500 lender credit. So there's some flexibility. There's some flexibility. My experience has been it's on a case-by-case basis, but in general, there's certain things that are going to be very, very difficult to overcome, like the credit score, but you don't have 6 months reserve cash, or the credit score is this, and you also have 3 derogatory marks showing that your JCPenney card was just delinquent 2 months ago. Stuff like that. Like there's these small things that are not reported, but they're in this person's credit file, and maybe they don't completely understand and not saying that's you, but like that's what I hear. And then I look at their credit file and it's like, well, look, you missed your payment here, here, and here, and that can explain this. But we'll have to dig deeper into this in another episode. I do have to go, but I appreciate you coming on, and
for sure, appreciate you.
Awesome. You have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. All right, y'all. That's the podcast for the day. If you got any value from this, make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, comment. Go check out some of the other content as well. We have skits, we have other lives. Going to be, like I said earlier in the pod, doing more deep analysis on these issues. So make sure you look out for that, and I'll see you next time.